China has already emerged as an economic power, but there are questions that could it also become a global military power in true sense. China has got one of its first fleet in the recent years, while the United States had its first fleet during the Second World War. Similarly, the United States has more than 800 military posts across 150 countries of the world, while China has just one military post in Djibouti, where other countries have also military posts. The United States is still the leader when it comes to military spending, while the military budget of China is still under $400 billion. That of United States is more than $700 billion, despite the fact that its population may be around 40, maybe around 400 million, or uh, a bit over that. And as far as China GDP growth is concerned, and its foreign reserves are concerned, we should not forget the huge gap of population between that of the United States and China. The two countries, like if we put perhaps the population of three countries of the size of the United States, that would not be even equal to the population of China. So, in terms of proportion, of course, its economy is big, but in terms of proportion, if we see, especially if we compare it in terms of population, then it is still lagged behind. And it is true that during the Second World War, United States, and even after Second World War for a few years, the US would contribute more than 50% to global GDP, which has reduced drastically, and now it is over 25% to global GDP. Uh, and Chinese reserves uh, are close to the United States. They are not like there is not much gap, but as I have said, that in terms of population, and in terms of population, we have to keep these factors in mind as well. Then the United States, one can criticize a lot, but United States did help some countries to become prosperous. For instance, during the Second World War, Europe was devastated by the war. United States uh, came up with Marshall Plan that helped Western economies to stand on their feet. It extended generous help to England and other countries, Japan and South Korea as well. And in reality, to a great extent, it took the responsibility of protecting Japan and South Korea. Some economists believe that since the United States had taken the responsibility of protecting these two countries, so these two countries did not have to spend a lot of money on their defense, and they diverted their resources towards technology and consumer goods. And South Korea and Japan are leaders in consumer goods, or at least some of the leaders, or among the top leaders. Similarly, it also helped Taiwan, and it is also one of the industrial countries in the world. It also helped France, Germany, and the UK, uh, that were badly destroyed by the Second World War. On the other hand, we do not have even a single country in the world where China has invested and it has become, an economic power or middle income country. And wherever China went, we are hearing that the problems of those countries have been compounded. For instance, in Pakistan, independent power producers have created a big problem for the country. They are the third biggest burden on the economy, or the on the treasury after debt servicing and the defense budget. As similarly, we have seen what happened in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka borrowed money from China and it was unable to repay. So we have not seen much industrialization in the countries where China, allegedly, or where China claimed to have extended a helping hand. Pakistan and Sri Lanka are the glaring example. So until and unless China proves that its economy has been beneficial to the countries that are taking money from it, it cannot give any example, or it cannot set a precedent of development, or it cannot show the world that its assistance is really useful. While the assistance of the United States, many people and analysts would argue, has shown that it has extended the fruits of development. For instance, Western Europe that was devastated during the Second World War, Japan and South Korea that suffered a lot during the Second World War and the Korean War, they really developed at a great speed, and this restored their trust in the Western camp. But China has not set any such example at the moment. It has already launched its BRI, or Belt and Road Initiative, but many critics argue that it is for the sake of the interest of China, because China has surplus production of infrastructure machineries, and that's why wherever it is going, it's just talking about infrastructure. There is also criticism that it does not take the commercial viability of those projects into account, and it just wants to lend money to the countries that are desperate for cash, and then it builds it, and this is how those countries are under debts then, and they have to pay those debts over the years. In some cases, their physical assets are confiscated or given into the hands of the Chinese. This is what happened in Sri Lanka, and there are fears that this could happen in other countries that are taking loan from China. So, if China has to prove that it's a global leader, perhaps it might have to shift industries to those countries. Another criticism that is directed towards China, while China itself is trying to focus on clean energy, and it is aware of the fact that pollution is a serious problem for China. It is still trying to transfer coal plants to third world countries, devastating their environment, creating a lot of health hazards. So if it is a true friends of third world countries, it should have the same standard. If coal plants are not good for China, they should not be good for other countries, and it should not take advantage of the weaknesses of poor countries. For instance, if it says that by providing them energy it will industrialize, that will not happen, because if that energy cost is higher, if the generation of electricity is expensive, then there cannot be any industrialization. So far we have seen that China has invested billions of dollars, but we are yet to see one South Korea, we are yet to see any Japan, we are yet to see any Taiwan that were helped by the United States and emerged as economic powers.